Hello there. Thank you very much for joining us again today. My name is Dakbo Aruajoe. The word restructuring has been a recurring one of recent in the vocabulary of Nigerians. So we thought, why don't we look at it today, try and critically analyze what the word means and what it really means to you also. So that's what we are looking at today. And to help us do the discussion, I have Dr. Tunji Abayomi, a constitutional lawyer, a professional in politics, and also a governorship aspirant on those states. Thank you very much, Dr. Abayomi, for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me.
You heard my intro. I said the word restructuring. There's this ambiguity with that word nowadays. It depends on, you know, when they said five blind man touches an elephant, it depends on where you touch it. Maybe the trunk or the leg, or it depends, or the ear. What is the word? What does the word restructuring mean to you, sir?
Well, to be honest with you, I'm not really sure what it means. I guess those who speak of restructuring will be in a better position to define, because actually it means different things to different people. I think when Vice President Atiku was talking of restructuring, he was talking about providing more funds to the states, because as you are well aware, right now in Nigeria, the federal government controls 52% of the national income, while the states and the local governments have only 48. That means that from Calabar to Sokoto, from Lagos to Maiduguri, they have 48. But in Abuja alone, they have 52. That may explain why there's so much corruption in the federal government, because by and large, it looks like the 52, a few people just sit down around the table in Abuja and they share it. But let me emphasize something. Before you talk of restructuring, you must first of all talk of structure. You cannot talk of restructuring a nation that has no structure.
Okay, let's talk about the structure now. What's the present structure of Nigeria, or is it that it's structureless?
The nation right now is structureless. I mean, if you look at it, one of the essentialities of a conforming structure is smoothness. Smoothness in interaction, smoothness in ideals, and smoothness in relationship. Now, in this nation, I mean, two things define that kind of smoothness. For example, you will have a national citizen. I don't think Nigeria at present has a national citizen. Nigeria may
So are you not a national citizen?
No, it's not just a matter of just that I have
the passport.
That's not what defines a national citizen. This nation has ethnic citizens, not national citizens. Now, right now, there's a lot of complaint that the president is appointing all northerners, largely all Hausa Fulani.
Yes.
Complaint is coming from the different ethnic groups. It's clear that there is no national citizenship. The nation is placed on, as I have said again and again, on three twisted pivots, and that is ethnicity, region, and religion.
Ethnicity, region
and religion. Because of that, and because the leadership of this nation since independence has not been able to straighten those twisted pivots, the table, the national table, as it were, is twisted, and there's no smoothness of interaction, no smoothness of ideal, no smoothness of operation. Why do we have that situation? Why is it that the nation has no structure? The reason the nation has no structure is because the various ethnic groups in this nation, or you may call it various ethnic nationalities in Nigeria, have not actually come together to agree on the terms of their relationship.
I thought that was the idea behind the National Confab.
No, the National Confab is a misnomer. It's an exercise in futility. First and foremost, it does not represent anybody except the appointer, the president who appointed most of them. If, like I have said, I believe...
But most of them came from different ethnic nationalities then.
Yes, the issue goes beyond that. If you want to represent the Yoruba people, in order to respect their representatives, just like an election, must delegate their authority to those representatives.
So that they have to choose their own people.
Precisely.
To represent them.
Precisely.
Okay.
The Igbo must delegate their authority to those representatives. The same thing with the chiefs in the Middle Belt and the South and the Hausa Fulani. Now, this nation, like I said, and I think maybe I have said it in this session, this nation is unique in its placement in terms of the ethnic groups. Now, look at Nigeria. The Yoruba people occupy the southwest, strategically, divinely, in that geographical zone. The Igbo occupy the southeast, again in that geographical zone. The south staying there. The Tiv Plateau, in that geographical zone. So now, in reality, what you have in Nigeria is different ethnic nationalities. Now, these different ethnic nationalities desire, and it is a good desire, to form a union, a nation. You must keep in mind that these different nationalities have different ideas that conjure emotion, that preoccupy them. They have different goals they want to reach. They have different essentialities, and they have different excellencies. Now, if we now want to bring these different people with even different cultures together, you need to know what is it that each of them want. So, in order to reach that, the National Conference was simply a waste of time. What you need is different groups should come together in their different zones and different interests. This is what we want for this new union we want to construct. So when they each come up with these ideas, they now come to a table to form a nation or a union, what I describe as political banquet. And they now come together and say, okay, we Yoruba people, this is what we want.
Okay.
We Igbo people, this is what we want. We Hausa Fulani, this is what we want. And the Tiv Plateau, this is what we want. And then in a reapproachment, trading, give and take, they can now come up with what is normally going to be the ideals, the central ideas.
The common ground.
The common ideas. That common ideas will now be translated to a constitution that will guide the people of Nigeria.
That one takes us to, we need a new constitution.
A new constitution. Because if you look at, you start from 1914, it was compelled forcible amalgamation.
Yes.
Brought about by the colonial in their own interest, not in the interest of the people that were amalgamated. Then we went through a period of desolation under the colonial government. Essentially, we were just occupied territory. Then, before we knew it, the military took over government. Another forcible rule over citizens. They forced everything on us. The worst thing they forced on us was a constitution. Now, people must understand this issue. When the military gave itself the power to make law, it didn't give itself the power to make a constitution. It said, Decree 1 of 1984, the legislative power vested in the National Assembly shall be vested in us to make law for peace, order, and good government.
Yes.
It didn't give itself the power to make a constitution. And a constitution is not law. In my book, Constitutional Powers and Duties of the President, I laid out 10 differences between a law and a constitution. A constitution is not a law. A law controls all constitutions. And as I have said again, it is a constitution that gives a nation a government. It is not a government that gives a nation a constitution. And a constitution is validated not by the content of the constitution, but by the procedure of making a constitution. This nation has not come together in a universal political banquet to agree on the terms of their relation, which is to be translated into a constitution.
Do you think it's because of this faulty foundation or the faulty structure that we have? That's why we have agitations here and there. That's why we have agitation from the Niger Delta militants. You have the headsmen doing theirs the way they want. Is that why we have this problem?
That is the problem of this nation. That is the core, the heart of the problem of a nation. A nation that has not agreed, the perception of justice and injustice differ. The perception of interaction differ. What is to be consigned, for example, to the federal government in the view of different ethnic groups differ. Now, you look at the initial understanding done in the regions. Most of the things, for example, many things were consigned to different zones. You can tell the Yoruba man today, for example, if you tell him that, look, the central government, the federal government is all over education. He believes that that was what brought back the Yoruba and destroyed the Yoruba ideals. Awolowo was promoting good education, free education. We had the first TVC, universal suffrage. Yes. Women were already voting before they started voting in France.
Yes.
Where education was promoted. We had a civil service that was first among equals and so on and so forth. In the East, commerce was developing in a unique way. In the North, they were running to catch up.
Are you saying we should go back to that? They dividing the country across regions.
No, I'm not saying we should go back to that.
But it wasn't a bad idea then.
It wasn't, but I'm saying we should go back to what the people of Nigeria, the various peoples of Nigeria want. And to know what we should go back to, the peoples of Nigeria need to sit down in their various zones, come up with the various ideals they want for the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and then come together as those peoples to form a people of Nigeria guided by central ideas agreed upon.
Okay.
That's what I'm talking about.
Okay, let's get the pulse, because the Vice President, Yemi Osinbajo, was saying of recent, even one of our platforms, that there's a need to restructure, really, but not according along ethnic lines. We should not be talking about restructuring according to geopolitical restructuring. We should be talking about restructuring. We should be talking about re-engineering Nigeria.
Well, I do not know, but first of all, there must be Nigeria. Don't forget that the principal statement that Nigeria is a mere geographical expression remains. It's not just sufficient to talk of Nigeria. You don't have a Nigeria. You have a Nigerian peoples. That is the central issue. In this nation, the most profound debilitating factor is suspicion among the peoples of Nigeria. The most profound debilitating, retreating factor is suspicion among the peoples of Nigeria. There's deep suspicion, deep resentment among the people. Why do we have it? The reason is very simple. There is a belief among some people that one ethnic group has taken over, condoned everything they work for. There is a belief for right or wrong, injustice. There is also a belief that, some ethnic believe that you are intimidating us for no just cause, but we are producing some things that is given so much value to. So there's deep suspicion.
But Dr. Bami, what about the fact that even if you narrow it down, you reduce it even to the region, even when it comes to a state, like let's use Kogi for an example. Yes. In Kogi, you hear Kabaman saying an Igala man is not a Kabaman, an Okuman is not an Igala man. You heard the fact that the former governor, the one that passed away, was an Igala man, right? He was there for a long time. So you had the Egbia saying, no, let's take it from the Igalas. The Okuns are saying, in a state, what about even if you put all the states or you merge the states, you put them into regions, don't you think there will still be division amongst the people, knowing the kind of people we are?
Now, I'm not saying that we should have regions. Rather, I'm saying that we should have what the peoples of Nigeria want us to have. But let us go into that issue. The reason why we have all those crises in the states is because the government, the federal government, from 1960 has promoted those divisions. Now, part of the promotion of those divisions is this concept of federal character. Knowing very well that this nation has not been able to create a national character. It now created this concept of federal character, which further divides us. In my book, State and Citizen, I discuss the concept of Nigerianity, that we should focus on our citizenship without paying attention to the region, religion, or ethnicity. But how possible? How possible is that? The only way we can achieve that is, first of all, to take what we have, the various ethnic groups, and then come up to build some concrete ideas that define citizenship.
Are you saying there should be another confab or a conference? Because the last one did cost this nation, was it 9 billion or 7
More
billion?
than that.
So are we going to...
It's about over 9 billion.
Over 9 billion. Are we going to, can we say, waste or spend so much money again for people to gather and discuss our...
That was not a national conference. That was Jonathan's conference. There's a difference between the national conference and Jonathan's conference.
It could be Jonathan's conference, yes. But the name they called it, it's called the national conference.
That's not a national conference. A national conference will be a conference of the peoples of Nigeria, delegates.
So why do you have the Okurumans or the other people saying that?
The people were appointed by the president. I didn't participate, and the people of Ondo State didn't participate in those who went to represent them.
Why was it then? I thought that was an avenue for people to just come to the round table and discuss coming together.
Well, you could do that. It doesn't mean that we cannot take ideas from that. There are lots of discussions going on. You can take ideas even from a mind. There's nothing wrong with that.
Do you think, okay, there were discussions, there were resolutions there, yes, that you think some you can take away?
Like any thought process that is committed to some concrete form can be used. But that is a separate thing from the procedure of bringing about a national citizenship. Now, Vice President is talking of social engineering, that we are not supposed to, for example, go along ethnic line, and so on and so forth. That is not facing the reality of Nigeria. How do you bring social engineering in this country with the level of suspicion, with the level of intolerance, with the level of avoidance of the principal issues? We don't even know the issues that bind us together. We don't even have a constitution.
What about the 1999 constitution?
It's not a constitution. A constitution that told a lie that it lied about itself. It said we, the people, gave it to ourselves. But we know it is patently false. We didn't give it to us. Like I have said to you, that constitution was a decree. A decree is forced law.
But they said even across even not only in Nigeria, even abroad, you have most of the constitutions are concluded upon by the elites also.
Tell me a constitution that is forced on the people by a dictatorship anywhere in the world. Once you call it a constitution, it takes it away from forced law, from a decree. In this nation, our constitution is called Decree 24. There's no pretense about it. No pretension. Decree is forced law. And what I'm saying, even that constitution lacks legitimacy. It lacks legality. It lacks legality because the military has no power to give us a constitution. It didn't even give itself the power to give us a constitution. It lacks legitimacy because it did not originate from the people. So nobody can tell me that in other countries. Tell me a country where their constitution did not originate from the people or does not have the consent and the approbation of the people.
Maybe I did not allow you to land then.
Yes.
Are we saying we should have another confab?
We need to have a constitutional convention. That constitutional convention must first of all have a pre-convention of ethnic nationalities, because the nation is placed on ethnic pivot. I have told you that this nation is placed on 3 pivot, twisted pivots:
religion,
ethnicity, religion, and region. And they coalesce virtually in every ethnic group. So if we now bring together ethnic nationalities and they come up with their ideals in order to meet in a banquet, political banquet, to reach an agreement. That's what all these national conferences, that's an attempt, what they are attempting to do.
Do you think the collaboration between region,
Yes.
ethnicity,
Yes.
and now you now bring religion into
Yes,
it?
yes.
Do you know, even in a family, you have maybe the husband, a Christian,
Yes.
the wife, a
Yes,
Muslim.
yes.
How are you going to merge religion, ethnicity, and the region together now?
Well, look, in this country, there are regions who believe that you should have their affairs should be controlled by religious laws. In this country.
Yes.
There are groups who believe that you should separate religion from the state.
And they might come from the same region. That is where I'm going to. So there's still a division somewhere.
No, in every something there will be majority, there will be minority. The issue is, what is the central controlling issue for the majority? That is the issue. Even morality has diversions. You know what I mean?
Yes.
You know, there are people who view things in different ways. But you cannot, for example, tell me now that among the Yoruba people, education is not essential. There are people who don't go to school, who don't want to go to school. There are children who believe that they should just go and learn a trade, because if you go to school, you don't get a job. But centrally, you cannot, for example, pretend as if education is not important. But from childhood, we were taught.
We had the idea, yeah.
You understand what? So the issue that I'm saying is that whatever the issue is, there has been no dialogue freely brought about on Nigeria by the people of Nigeria. Therefore, we have not had constitution of the people, by the people, and for the people. And when you are talking of constitution, basically what you are talking about, what are the issues that we want to agree upon in order to create government over us?
Okay, the example that was made was that of Niger Delta. Yes. You know, Niger Delta is like an entity now. You have different states forming the Delta, the Niger Delta itself. Yes. But he said, apparently, there has not been too much, I don't even know how to put it now, there has not been too much good coming out of that relationship.
Yes.
How do you, because even when you have people together,
yes.
if you get what I'm, if you get what I'm coming to, yeah. So what do you think?
The point is this: Niger Delta it didn't just start today. If we go back, don't forget that, like I said in one of the programs in one of your media houses, Boro,
Isaac Adaka Boro.
Isaac Adakaboro was fighting for Niger Delta, and he died in the process. And there have been lots of people, including Saro Wiwa. What were they fighting about? They were essentially fighting on against a perception. There was a deep perception of injustice they were fighting against. If you go from there, you go to different ethnic groups. There's a deep perception of injustice in this country. And in order to improve on the union, on government, there is no way you can disregard that. So now, if Niger Delta goes today, even if we reach some kind of understanding to Niger Delta with the federal government of Nigeria, another group will arise.
That's the way I'll come.
The reason why another group will arise is because Niger Delta and MEND and all those groups within their own idea have not come together.
They are divided. That's the word?
People will divide. Something will bring the only thing that brings the Yoruba people together is their Yoruba-ness.
Reverend Dominic is on the line.
The same thing with the Igbo, their Igbo-ness.
Let me quickly take Reverend Dominic. Good morning, Reverend. You're calling from Alimosho?
Good morning, Dapo.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, your guest.
Thank you. Good morning.
You are one of the voices I respect so much in Nigeria.
Yes, thank you.
But I want to disagree with you today, because I've been saying this all over the year.
Yes.
The problem of Nigeria is not constitution. I want to give you an example. What a constitution that UK had, that a man resigned his office and gave 3 months to prepare to exit. And within 3 weeks, the common sense prevailed, and he packed his property out of number 10 Don House in UK. What kind of constitution? What kind of constitution in Nigeria that makes a lady who goes to preach her conviction was butchered a few days ago, and Nigeria moved forward as nothing happened? What kind of constitution? The problem here is that we don't have common sense in morality. Any nation that moves forward, you're a lawyer, you know how many pages of the American Constitution. Our Constitution today is over 1,000 pages, and we're still going to amend. Still, we are running around on what is common. What is a constitution that we need to have in Nigeria? Since 100 years of Nigerian existence, we don't have simple water to drink. What a constitution do we have in Nigeria? For over 100 years, our education has moved from bad to worse. What kind of constitution do we have in Nigeria?
Right.
That we live in Lagos State here. Just last month we hold a man, and he will dictate whether it's an Igbo or Yoruba or Hausa and give him a fine. What kind of constitution is this?
Okay.
We need good governance.
All right. Thank you so much, Reverend Dominic. You've made your point. It's not about constitution. It's about good governance. It's about the person himself.
Well, the question is, how do you get good governance?